let God, let go. Soon as I stop worrying how the story ends, I let go and I let God have his way. That's when things start happening. I stop looking at back then. I let go and I let God. Let God have his way. Let go. Let God. Let go. Soon as I stop worrying how the story ends, I let go and I let God have his way. That's when things start happening. I stop looking at back then. I let go and I let God. Let God have his way. Let go. Let God. Let go. Soon as I stop worrying how the story ends, I let go and I let God have his way. That's when things start happening. I stop looking at back then. I let go and I let God. Let God have his way. Let go. Let God. Let go. Soon as I stop worrying how the story ends, I let go and I let God have his way. That's when things start happening. I stop looking at back then. I let go and I let God. Let God have his way. Let go. Let God. Let go. Soon as I stop worrying how the story ends, I let go and I let God have his way. That's when things start happening. I stop looking at back then. I let go and I let God. Let God have his way. Let go. Let God. Let go. Soon as I stop worrying how the story ends, I let go and I let God. Let God have his way. That's when things start happening. I stop looking at back then. I let go and I let God. Let God have his way. Let go. Let God. Let go. Soon as I stop worrying how the story ends, I let go and I let God. Let God have his way. That's when things start happening. I stop looking at back then. I let go and I let God.
Hey guys, listen, we're gonna get the show on the way. But before we do, we're gonna get this little video for you guys. All right. All right, Jason, you're right, but
I'm all right, man. How are you?
My fiance. So obviously, I contribute 3 times more. You know. Hey, Frank and Nina,
hey,
how are you guys?
All right, Beehive.
Yes, so y'all know that Beyonce is going on tour, right?
Right, yeah, yes.
Me and my fiance, we have been together and we've been saving money for a house for a while now.
Yeah.
But y'all know I need to go see Beyonce. Like I'm part of the Beehive. I need to see the queen, you know? Me and my fiance started saving for our house. We decided to have a joint account. But the thing is, I make 3 times more than my fiance. So obviously I contribute 3 times more, you know? So we decided not to spend any extra money on other activities. So we've been eating in, we don't go to the movies, we don't go on dates, we don't go shopping. We've just been strict with our savings.
That's awesome.
But Nina, that was before I knew that Beyonce was going on tour. I told my fiance I was going to take out $1,000 so I could get my Beyonce tickets. And girl, you know, he lost it after that.
I would too.
You see, but the point, Frank, is that I make 3 times more money as him. And I don't see the problem with taking out $1,000. It's my money.
Ooh.
Did y'all know he threatened me on top of that to call off the engagement because he said my priorities weren't together? But let me keep it real, y'all. I put about $20,000 into that savings, and he's only put about $7,000. So what is he tripping about, for real? Hi, Frank and Nina.
Hey,
how are you guys?
All right, Beehive.
Oh, baby. My, oh my, oh my. Brother, what you telling me? I didn't even lower my chair because I don't think I'm even too high. There we go. Boom. What you telling me, bro? You right?
I'm all right. How you been?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Listen, you know what, fam? I heard this video, and I think I saw also a post about it first, and I was going to talk about it, and I thought I'll wait till we have a conversation first. But, bro, this is a madness, bro. This is Beyonce versus priorities today. Beyonce versus priorities. Okay, Beyonce hasn't actually done anything. Okay, it's not Beyonce's fault, but Beyonce is being used as an example. So, guys, if you're new to the channel, welcome. We're here talking to you guys about priorities in relationships. You know, is Beyonce more important than your actual relationship? Is Beyonce more important than your relationship and your future, it seems, with your fiance? Or is the fiance, has he been manipulative in this form? We're going to have a little bit of a conversation on doing it with my brother, Jay Anderson. Listen, if you join us on 2 channels, we're on Little Black Book and on Dark Arts. When the video finishes, it will be private on Little Black Book, but it'll be public on Dark Arts. So if you haven't subscribed to the other channel, you better watch it live because after that, it's going to be on Dark Arts. All right. So Beyonce over relationship. Okay, Captain, tell me your thoughts. Just hearing this, you know, just hearing what she said. What did you glean from listening to that particular extract?
Well, you know, first of all, disclaimer. One of my neighbors has a 2-year-old son, so if you're only banging, that's him banging through the walls. That's how he gets the clip. So just in case, just let everyone know. So obviously, even like this whole conversation started a few weeks ago anyway, when we first saw the first post where it was the guy who I guess was in a position where he put down the majority of the savings, and the woman put down hardly anything, and she wanted to withdraw what she had in order to go to a Beyonce concert. So this is just something where it's just turned the other way around. However, I see 2 issues here. Like, and we'll get into it, but the first issue is, one, they made an agreement, and it sounds like they've stuck to it. So then, should they be breaking that agreement for Beyonce? And by the way, I don't know how much these tickets are, but I've been seeing 300, 400. Is this the actual price?
Some of them, yeah.
Okay, so that's ridiculous. So they've made an agreement. Now they're breaking that agreement for Beyonce. Now the second thing is, from a respect point of view, she's making a point to pull rank. She's making a point to say, well, this is how much he put in, this is how much I put in. And she's repeated that a few times. That's a respect thing. Because if you've both made an agreement, and I don't know their relationship, but let's say in that relationship, she wants him to be the leader because of money. And there's lots of households where whoever has the most money is the leader, unfortunately. But because of money, you're going to ignore what he says and just pull rank and say, well, it's my money, I'm gonna do what I want to do with it anyway. So hold on, it's our money, we're saving for a house together. But because you want to do what you want to do, it's your money. To me, this is like behavior where people have when they break up, not when they're still together. So I understand why any man would have an issue, because it's the bigger picture, it's how it looks. And I'll ask any woman, like say in the chat, if the shoe is in the other foot, you've made a promise, you've both stuck to it, you know what the bigger goal is, and he wants to remove, let's say $1,000, right? £1,000 to go and see, I don't know, he's a big guy there. Let's just say Jay-Z. Let's just say Jay-Z, right? How would you feel about that? In fact, let me ask you, how would you feel about that?
Brother, this is not happening in my household. It's not happening in my household. It's not happening in my household. Listen, and you know what? Maybe today I'm in a mood, bro. I'm in a mood. I'm in a mood because I'm gonna say some things today. I'm in a mood, bro, because of the last few days of kind of conversations we've been having, and I'm gonna say, you know, I feel a duty as a man, as a partner. Sorry, I should say, if I'm a partner to someone, as a husband or whatever, that you know, these are the kind of things that begin to corrode and erode the trust in the relationship, right? And these are the kind of things I'm talking about when I say that, when I talk about leadership, right? In this moment, I'm taking an executive decision, babe. We ain't doing it. We ain't doing it. And if you decide to go behind my back and do this very thing, I now know the kind of person I'm dealing with. I'm not saying that things don't go wrong. Things do. And we do some stuff. But for me, financials is a very big thing because of how quickly it turns into warfare, how quickly it turns into divorce. It's not one of those things that you can play with. I've seen it in my household in terms of my parents and how they've dealt with certain things. And rightly so, as my dad warned me, he said, sometimes when you take it, as a man, when you try to take a step back, you actually get licked in the face. So sometimes not doing anything and going, okay, I'm going to be the one that's going to be open to it, you end up regretting it in the end. So there is a goal. We must meet it. We said we're going to have a set date when we're going to meet it, and we set it for this particular time. We are going to stick to the goal. Simple as. Yeah. So for me, no, the Jay-Z thing wouldn't happen.
And the way I see it as well, and this is for the guys, right? There's going to be times where you might hear some keywords, or you might feel maybe you're being unreasonable, but it's the bigger picture mindset. It's that if you're going to lead effectively, again, forget about Beyonce, but there's going to be scenarios where you're going to have to put your foot down and say, no, we got to work to the bigger picture. And again, if I take a step back in the same scenario where she's a breadwinner, for the men, it doesn't mean that you can't lead. Ladies, it doesn't mean that you can't let the man lead. But this is an example of where there's certain men who say, do you know what, I'm not going to love a woman. I'm not going to even entertain women like that until I get where I need to get to, because they don't want to deal with situations like this. And then the first example that we had a few weeks ago, the man was the breadwinner. He didn't say how much he put into the savings, but the woman had put only $700 in, what was it, 8 months, 10 months or something like that. And she said, oh, don't worry, I'll put it back. Like, let's be honest, you're not going to put $700 back like that if you only put $700 in after 8-10 months. But her mindset, she didn't quite understand, why does he want to break up with you because of this? And he said, I'm tired of this. Like you said, bro, it's a bigger mindset, especially when it comes to financials. Listen, they say, what's love got to do with it? Love is great, but when the kids need to eat, when the house is, it's time to get paid, it's time to pay the mortgage. These are the things that come up. These are the things that change people, that change relationships. So it's these things that show the discipline that you need when you're in a serious relationship. When you start, like, if you both agree, you both agree. But when one person starts trying to pull left or pull right, where does it start? So where does it stop? Because it's just going to lead on to other things. And again, I have to always bounce it back to this, the respect issue. If she can, it's one thing for him to agree, but if she does what she wants to do anyway, I can almost guarantee you this is probably something that she's already doing in other areas. If not, it's going to continue because she's going to have a negative marker against him. And these are the things that some people might think too much psychoanalysis, you're seeing too deep into things. No, trust me. For the things that we've been through, sometimes you got to look at things deeply, because what I've noticed is like with the women that I've had in my life, they might say one thing today that might make it seem, oh, it's not a big deal. But later on, trust me, the bigger picture is a big deal. Just like there's women who I've had in my life who have had guys who they've just walked all over. They've behaved a certain way towards them. But now they're with me, they're telling you, do you know what? But I need a man who's going to put his foot down. Even in that scenario, I need him to do that. So,
Okay.
yeah, no matter how I behave. So these are the things to me. It's about the bigger picture. I don't really care about Beyonce. It could be anything. It could be a holiday. It could be a car. It could be anything. But if we have a plan, let's work towards it. Because when we get to that, trust me, we're going to be smiling.
Yeah, bro. As you was talking, bro, just getting flashbacks. But because I faced a similar situation. It's nonsense. But let me lay this out for the ladies specifically. I want to paint a picture here. Okay. We've been told she's putting around about what? I think around about 20 grand.
Yeah.
And he's putting around about 7 or something, because it's 3 times more than what he's putting in. So he's put around about 7 in. Okay. All right. Now, first thing I want to denote is this: leadership is not solely based on who earns the most money, but it can be a part of leadership. First and foremost, money is a resource and a tool. This is very important. I was speaking about this on another channel on Lapeef Network just the other day. If leadership is solely about money, this is why we're having an issue in our Black community between men and women, because women are earning as much as we're earning, and then they believe they're leaders as well of that relationship. If your leadership is solely based on finances, you will not be a very good leader of your home, because it requires more than just paying bills and having money in the bank. This is the first thing. Number 2, her putting in more money does not mean now she can pull rank. Because I'm seeing some comments in the chat, and I want to pull some of you guys up. They're doing some people are doing this is where we're going to start seeing some mad things in relationships. Because you put more money in, suddenly you're going to pull rank. But if the man was to put more money in, you would say, well, isn't he thinking about his family? Isn't he thinking about the fact that they have a goal in mind? Suddenly,
he's irresponsible.
He's irresponsible. When the woman is now putting more money in, suddenly a justification comes in for her behavior as to, well, she's putting more money in. Her first mistake was putting more money in. No. That's not her first mistake. You agreed upon principle. This is what we are going to do, right? This is what we said we're going to do, right? We're going to put this amount of money in, this, etc., etc. This is where leadership actually really kicks in, because now we have a situation, and what people have not deeped is, if you have so much money, you can put 3 times more in. Why do you not have savings that you can pull out to go put £1,000 in for Beyonce?
That's true.
Why is it that you're going into the mutual savings that we have to take money to pay for Beyonce? You're not good with money. That's the reality, because there will be no reason for you to ask me to take out £1,000 out of the mutual account to go and pay for Beyonce, which means you're not good with money because you don't have savings on the other side. Right? So really deep it what you're actually really saying. This is why I say people have to pay attention, because when you get your emotions into a spin and you start running, you start missing things. The actual reality is that she actually isn't good with money, because she would have never had to ask for the mutual account. She would have had her own account. So she would have never needed that. She would have had money on the side. So you should have some money on the side, that you have your own disposable income to be able to pay for this Beyonce ticket. Now, you asked him, can I take money out of the account so I can pay for Beyonce? He says no, that's it. Because remember, the mutual agreement was, we're going to put this amount of money for a future goal. You've asked, fair. He says no, done. We finished. Not even just because he's a leader, but simply because this is the principle. Right? This is the principle that we've set forth for ourselves. We want to have a target in mind. Number 2, if I allow you to do this, you are derailing, and I'm allowing you to derail the project. Right? I'm allowing you to derail the project. So in this instance, when we are saying we're going towards a particular goal and this amount of money needs to come out, it's not for an emergency. Beyonce is not an emergency, guys. We have to categorize what is essential, what is a necessity, and what is just simply about being a bit of a personal fun or some hedonistic fun that we like to have. Beyonce, she may never come around to your town again. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. She's not in your relationship. She's not going to marry your husband. She's not going to come and marry you. She's an artist. Next time you can pay for another time and go and see her. She is not essential. If you tell me your mom is sick and she needs money for medical bills, that's a completely different conversation. Right? So this situation here, it showed me several things. And the reason why I'm being strong on it, maybe because I'm starting to see certain things now. I'm like, I really want to help people. And for those who are here will hear. I want people to understand this. You've asked to remove this money. He said no. And now the situation's got to a point where this doesn't sound like it's the first time. That's why he's saying, I'm tired of this. It's not the first time. Right? It's not the first time. So it's serious. There's other things that have happened. And the thing about this is people who have money issues, it tends to be in all areas. You know what I mean? Like it tends to be in all areas. Like I said, in most of my relationships, when I spoke to my girl, I've said, do you want me to help you with the budget? Because I've dated two girls who have money issues. So I know exactly what I'm talking about when it comes to this. They will forego what is meant to happen just for the immediate moment of comfort. And when you see that physically where someone does that, where they are literally going to subvert the future goal just for immediate comfort now, you start to ask questions. Why? Wait, no, you need someone to keep you on target because we can't do that. Right? So I know I know some, and here's my last point on this, and bro, you can talk about this. I'm purposely going to say this. Some of the ladies and some of the men who do this, but we're talking about ladies because this instance is about a lady. Some ladies will use the fact they have more money in a situation, as she did, by saying at the end. Did you hear what she said at the end? She said, "I put in this money." So basically, what she's saying is, I get the choice of being able to withdraw it back. Fine, then I needs to be I alone, and it's not a you and me. It's a you alone, and you can be on your own. And that's why I would say this about as a man, that this is about principle. If you don't shut this kind of stuff down, it tends to bleed itself into other areas in your relationship. This is not about being a dominant force or being controlling. This is simply about the fact that when you said you have a goal, we've agreed to it, and I'm keeping you to your word. If you don't want to keep to your word, we have to really reassess, is this a one-time issue or is this a regular time issue? Bro, jump in, bro.
Well, we both agree, man. We both said it, and do you know what? Someone in the comments said, if I make more money than my guy, I don't care what he says. So do you see the understanding? Do you see the point? This is not just about physical money. This is also about the mental. This is also about what happens next. So this is why like I said, some people might say this is unreasonable. Some people might say, who cares? Someone asked the question, what is about, just to reset. A woman saved 20K, a man saved 7K. They have that money together in a savings account specifically for a house that they agreed upon this, right? Go to marriage counseling, any type of relationship counseling, they will tell you, stick to what you agree upon. The moment you start doing something else, the moment you start going against it, yes, you can ask. We can all ask. Things happen. But if the other person says no, they don't think that's the best, you say, okay, I'll leave it alone. And that goes both ways, by the way. But the moment you say, do you know what, I'm going to do what I want to do anyway, and your reason is because I earn more money and I put more money in, and therefore I'm going to withdraw what I want to withdraw, there's no more team in there. The agreement is broken. And now you've left an imprint. Trust me, an imprint has been left. So that in the back of his mind, he has to ask himself some questions. Who do I have? Because this is just about Beyonce tickets. Imagine when there's something more at stake now. Imagine when we do have a disagreement and these things happen. Is she going to use her, let's call it her spending power against me? And these things happen. Trust me. The amount of ladies that say they will never be like this, they will never do this, but they go around and just...
I haven't seen it in the chat.
Let me have a look at the chat. Let's have a look at it.
We haven't seen it in the chat. bro. And that's what I'm saying to you, bro. Like, it's funny for me because, and again, I think majority and me, I'm talking very frank because I want to save people's lives. I honestly do. I'm in that mode. I'm in that season. I'm here to save people's lives because some people out here don't know. So I want to save their life. Majority of women on my audience are sensible. They understand where we're coming from. They understand what we're talking about. It's not a man versus woman situation per se for most women and most men. Anybody listening to this, it's not a man versus woman situation in this situation. But
someone said they're engaged.
Huh?
Someone said they're engaged.
They're engaged. I hope that's good. This is good for them. They can they can hopefully I guess okay. So I like to address certain comments as well. So this is a good comment.
Yeah,
Christy K said men use their spending power against women all the time. Fantastic. If you choose a man that uses spending power against you, you should run. This is not an excuse to now you do the exact same thing. I want people to be aware. Stop making excuses. If somebody is doing this to you, this is not an indicative person. This is not indicative of a person who actually cares about you and loves you and understands that I'm looking for a relationship. Stop choosing that type of man. I don't want to hear excuses about the fact that men do it too, because men do it too has got nothing to do with you. If you're choosing somebody who's doing this to you, they're not a great partner. End of. Next one. I'm in the mood. I'm sorry. I'm in the mood. Wait.
I'm in the mood. Let me say this.
Go for it.
With a guy who buys you, is not what you want long term. You don't even want that. You're gonna enjoy it now, but you don't want that long term. So, like Coach was saying, don't put yourself in that situation. Like, who cares what they do? Do you like it? No. So don't put yourself in that situation. And at the same time, it's not okay for the lady to do it. It's just that the dynamics are, quite frankly, some women will still go for that type of guy and have whatever lifestyle, marriage they're going to have. But when it happens on that other foot, trust me, that guy's going to be in for hell.
The guy's going to be in for hell.
Bro, I've been there, so.
Bro, this is, and I think this is why I'm even more on it. I'm like, I've seen it literally in a relationship, having a joint account and then coming to the joint account and seeing money just be leaving and asking why. And it's because of poor money management.
There you go.
And the thing is as well, when you sit down, and last 2 relationships I've done it, I've sat down and I've even budgeted disposable income into the budget. I've budgeted entertainment into the budget. I've budgeted miscellaneous into the budget. How is it that you still need to come into the savings account and take more money out? It is poor money management, and poor money management ruins relationships, male or female, woman or man. It ruins relationships. If you're a good stewardess of money and we put a budget down, someone should be budgeting entertainment and miscellaneous stuff into it. We do that all the time, right? It may not be much for some people. It depends on where you are. Okay, depends on where you are. But most of us should have a budget that says entertainment or miscellaneous or disposable income left over from how much money you have. If you earn 3 times more than me, there is no way you have not budgeted, and there's no way you should have budgeted the fact that you haven't got entertainment money or spending money. And your spending money, maybe you've used some of the previous month, who knows? But we're saying that this should be a good steward, meaning budget this into it, right? Because you can't earn 3 times more and then not know how to save money. And I think this is where people miss it. Just because you make money, it doesn't mean you don't waste money. A lot of people think that because they make money now, they're great. No, money is a resource and a tool. How do you use it? So for me, when I saw it happen in a relationship with me, I looked at it and I said, I've budgeted this so that you don't have this problem. Why are we having this issue? Right? And then it got to a point where she said, you know what? I'm just going to give you the money and you give it to me at the end of the month. And that's what we did. I didn't ask for it. That's what she said. She felt that way. She felt that way inclined to do it. And I said, fine, no worries. Because we're going towards a goal. Do you know what I'm saying? So, some of the comment. Let me just read some of the. No, because I'm in the mood, sir.
Let me respond to one that said,
go on.
He didn't need to threaten to leave her. Do you know what? I don't disagree with that statement, but it's the point that we're missing, that we're looking at this as an isolated case. For him to say that means there's other things at play. And this could be a sign of things that he's already going through, like I said, or things to come. And I say this isn't even just about men or specifically women. This is about all of us. When you see certain things that are just not okay, don't minimize them. Don't overlook them. Deal with them directly. The same way that Jesus did. He dealt with things directly. Why? Because what you do not want is for that seed to be planted and for that seed to grow. Again, we're talking about this isolated situation, but really it's about the bigger mindset. And if she can do this, just like if a man can do it, it's a sign of hell to come. You don't want to be in that situation. That's why, to me, him putting his foot down and saying, nah, I'm not going to have this, was the right thing to do. And I'll say it again, this is what ladies want anyway. This is what they ask for. This is what they pray for. When they know that they're taking liberties, when they know they're taking things a bit too far, when they know they're being cheeky, the one man is going to stand up and say no. However, where she's falling short is the blatant disrespect for his authority, simply because of money. And this is what I have to say for the third time. The bigger picture is the issue here. You've seen ladies in the chat validate that and say, I don't care. If I make more money, effectively, he's going to have to listen to me. No man wants to be in that situation. That type of relationship won't even work long term. And bitterness, resentfulness, all of that stuff will start coming out. And usually what happens is, because his behavior changes, the woman also starts to feel away. Then she will most likely break up with him and start to look at him in a certain way and say, do you know what? I'm never going to go with a guy who makes less money than me again. So it's just an unnecessary cycle. So we have to look at our characters and say, hey, what's going on here? If we've made an agreement, let me stick to the agreement, because the bigger picture is saying that if we don't do this, it's a sign of negative things to come. So let's make that decision today.
Yeah, I'm with you, bro. And don't minimalize. Absolutely correct, bro. It starts with these small, and I always say this, it starts with a small tile on the roof before the whole roof caves in. The roof didn't cave in overnight. It caved in because one tile was missing, a couple of tiles next time, a couple more, and before you know it, the roof done caved. Go for
Coach,
it, bro.
look what someone said. What authority do you have? No money.
That's Ludin. Ludin likes to play. I think Ludin likes to play around too much. She likes to play around too much. But again, and listen, Ludin likes to play too much. But and that's a real comment, right? In the sense of the fact that, again, it opens up a good talking point. What authority does he have in the relationship? If he has no, if you feel like he has no authority in that relationship because he has no money, there's two things. Oh, I even say just one. He needs to leave. Because you are going to pull rank and mistreat him the entire time. I can guarantee it. Right? So he needs to be out of the situation. I'm not even talking about the lady. Listen, let the ladies do what they want to do. If they want to go mad, let them go mad. But if a man encounters a woman like that, you need to leave. Don't waste time. Don't try to wrestle with it. Be out. You know what I mean? Because it's about the mentality. It's about the mindset. It's about the attitude. And this is what, and I keep saying, and I said this to women, and I said this to women earlier on. I'm saying the same thing to men now. Character is key. And so if you see that character playing out, don't ignore it. That's more important than her earning more money than you. That's more important than you earning more money than her. It's about the character. Because if you're willing to pull rank like this now, more than likely you're going to pull rank later on the same way, because you earn a bit more money. So again, as a man, and I would say the same thing, as a man, it does not mean when I make the most money, I can just pull rank. I have to make sure that the best thing is being done for the family. So this thing goes deeper than just the money issue as well. Maggie put a good comment. Would we make the same advice if the roles were reversed? I would. I don't understand why you are pulling money out for a Jay-Z concert. You're putting money out for two back there, but putting out money for Kendrick Lamar. It's nuts. I would look at you. I'm even more stronger on the men. That is nuts. If you would willingly put your family backwards in your budget because of an artist, I'm looking at you nuts. For a football team or a soccer team or an NFL or tennis match, I will look at you like you're absolutely nuts. Why are you subverting and sabotaging your future for something that will always be there first and foremost? You know what I mean? And number two, you planned and budgeted to get to somewhere at a particular time. Stick to the plan. You know what I mean? Stick to the plan. Go for it, bro.
Do you know what? Let me give two things, right? So now in the UK, right, again, I said this before, but for American listeners, the UK economy is very different than the US
Yes, that's
economy
true.
in terms of how much things cost and everything else, right? But now I'm in the top 20% of earners in the whole of the UK. But I wasn't always there. I've been in a situation where the woman earned maybe it was like 2.5 times. And whenever there was an issue, she found some sort of way to throw those jabs. Different ways that I said, wow. I just told myself, wow, I didn't know he was like this before. No, I knew it because I noticed it beforehand. But I ignored it saying, oh, that's okay, it's all right, don't worry. I minimized it. But obviously now I'm in a position where at her height, I earn way more than that. But I can never treat someone like that. And where this conversation now gets to a point where breaking the agreement works, all of you must know Bishop T.D. Jakes, right? I don't know if you've read some of his books or listened to some of his sermons. Him and his wife at a time, they saved $15K to buy a house. At this time, he had his ministry. And he went to the wife and said, wife, I'm not going to give this to a publisher. They take too much. But I'm thinking, what if I was to take 5K out of our savings and put into this book? Now, he doesn't talk about what the conversation was like, whether she was happy about it, whether she was not, but she ended up agreeing. Now, this is about their future. This isn't about entertainment where they're just going to spend the money and then it goes. This is about investment in the family's future. With that agreement, with that $5,000, he bought how many books that he bought, they all sold out. Now, what's the average book? Like $10, £10? So what? He made 50K. And then he took another 5, did the same thing, and then he made another 50K. So that's the situation where it works. But at the very least, it worked in accordance with what he chose to invest in the family, what he chose to invest in the ministry, what he chose to invest in the future generations that he's going to build up. That's very different than I'm just going to take money out and throw it. And neither did he say, I earn more money. I don't care. I'm going to do it anyway. He made sure there was an agreement. This is why, as we keep saying, character is so important. How you go about things. Because that always is a sign of who you are, who I am, who we are. It's a sign of how we've been in the past and a sign of how things are to come unless we make those changes. And those are the 2 things I wanted to say.
Yeah, I'm with you, bro, on that too, as well. And I think that goes back to the character conversation once again. I think, like I said, this is for me, I guess for me. In fact, let's play the video again one more time so that people know exactly where we stand, because then we can reset the room. And there's always stuff we can hear when we listen to things again. So let's listen again.
Yes. So y'all know that Beyonce is going on tour, right?
Right. Yeah. Yes.
Me and my fiance, we have been together and we've been saving money for a house for a while now.
Yeah.
But y'all know I need to go see Beyonce. Like I'm part of the Beehive. I need to see the Queen, you know? Me and my fiance started saving for our house. We decided to have a joint account. But the thing is, I make 3 times more than my fiance. So obviously I contribute 3 times more, you know? So we decided not to spend any extra money on other activities. So we've been eating in. We don't go to the movies. We don't go on dates. We don't go shopping. We've just been strict with our savings.
That's awesome.
But Nina, that was before I knew that Beyonce was going on tour. I told my fiance I was going to take out $1,000 so I could get my Beyonce ticket. And girl, he lost it after that.
I would too.
You see, but the point, Frank, is that I make 3 times more money as him. And I don't see the problem with taking out $1,000. It's my money.
Ooh.
Did y'all know he threatened me on top of that to call off the engagement because he said my priorities weren't together? But let me keep it real, y'all. I put about $20,000 into that savings, and he's only put about $7,000. So what is he tripping about? For real. Hi.
It gets worse when you listen to the second time around. It gets worse.
It sounds worse, yeah. It sounds worse.
It gets worse. And I'll tell you why, because there are key words being mentioned that make me pay more attention. Number one, she says, I put in 3 times more. She had no reason to mention she put 3 times more in. except one reason. The reason was to qualify that she felt entitled to be able to remove money because she put more in. So she was pulling rank, she was putting power, because she was saying, because I make more money, I get to then say how I want to do it. Number two, you had, like you said, you had already agreed. You had already agreed that you would focus on a pathway. All right. You already agreed that there's a pathway you guys are going to follow to get to a particular goal. You never complained about making 3 times more at the very beginning. You agreed to this particular ratio. And so that's the trajectory you were going on. The third part too is that she mentioned that blew my mind, obviously, like the I part and I and everything like that, is that, the point is almost gone on my head now. When she was talking about so she's talking about, obviously, I want to be able to remove the money from the account. And it made me think, why is it that Beyonce was so easy to be able to derail you from the actual path where you're going? If Beyonce can do this, there'll be something else that will also derail you. I think that's, if I'm looking from a principle perspective, if this can take you off course, there'll be other things that will take you off course. Like, there'll be other things that you'll say, well, what about this though? What about this though? What about this though? Right? And this is very difficult. And this is the difference between people who can, I'm going to say it. People who can lose weight, get into shape. This is the difference between them and those who can't. It is the little things where you don't want to deny yourself that you will stop. You will cheat on your, not even say diet, on your exercise regime, that you will lose out on these things because you refuse to deny yourself these little delicacies. You've agreed that you're going across a certain pathway and that you're choosing to do this. Yes, thank you for the word, lady and son, discipline, right? You've chosen to do this. And I would say the same thing if it was a man's way also as well to do it. I would say the exact same thing. And so that our biggest thing here, is that we're losing discipline in the situations. You know what I mean? So, but jump on it, bro.
I'm just reading the comments, right? So I'm just going to respond to some. So yeah, 20K, 7K. So you can't take 1,000. No, you made an agreement. Like, you have a plan in place. That's much more bigger than Beyonce or whatever entertainment that you're going to do. Like, the principle still stays the same. It really doesn't change. I think everyone just read the comments. If the shoe is on the other foot, how would some of these women who are backing what she's doing or what she wants, if the shoe is on the other foot, what would the response be? Would she be getting clowned as much for her lack of finances? I doubt it. So again, for the guys watching this, see what's going on here. The justification of what she wants. But all he was trying to do is say, no, we made an agreement. He did what was expected, let's be honest. He said, no, we have made an agreement. He didn't say anything except for that. And the fact that she pushed and said, no, I'm going to do what I want to do anyway. Like, look, it doesn't matter. 1,000 out of 27, it doesn't matter. Every little counts because you have a goal. Mm-hmm. And look where it's led to, disrespect. So if anything, you're saying 1,000 out of 27. Okay, so just £1,000 has caused this level of disrespect. To me, it's about the bigger picture. How far does this go? Because again, we can't ignore seeds. We can't ignore those little things, because these are the troubles that will come along the way. So yeah, as guys, we have to speak on this. You have to be direct. It might sound unreasonable. It might sound like we're not being fair, but listen, at times, the point needs to be made. The principle needs to be stuck to. And do you think, let's be honest here, him saying no and she says okay, do you think when they got their house, she's going to be thinking, this guy didn't let me go to a Beyonce concert, I hate him? No. She's going to be saying, babe, we did it.
Yeah.
We did it. We sacrificed. We was disciplined. What more can we do? Do you see the beauty in that? And in fact, that has made me think that we really live in a selfish world. We really live in a world that's about what we want to do. I don't care. To me, I'm looking at this situation. I'm saying, if he was my bro, I'll say, bro, you need to walk. Because I'll be scared for him, honestly.
And you're actually right, bro. And I think what's even more interesting is, for instance, I've heard a lady, some of them, not all, some of them have said that, he threatened to lead the relationship. The threat came before, there was a first threat first. If you didn't hear it correctly. See, me, I like to listen to carefully. She actually pulled the first threat by saying it's my money and
Mhm.
I earn 3 times more. I should be able to do what I want to do. That's the first threat. So before he gets to say about he wants to leave, the first threat is it's my money and I want to do whatever I want to do with it. That's the first threat. So before you jump to the conclusion of him threatening to say that he wants to leave a relationship, me personally, I'll be thinking about my position at this point. You understand? I would also be thinking about my position carefully. And so, but yeah, no, the first threat actually comes when she says it's my money and I should be able to do whatever I want to do with it. That's the first threat right there. What she's telling you is I'm independent of you.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I'm independent of you. So again, like I said, the agreement that you guys agreed to, what the conversation should be is, we can talk a little bit about that. What the conversation should be going towards is, do we have a budget for entertainment? Do we have a budget for disposable income? Do we have a budget for other things outside? Because I know originally we agreed to having, we agreed to obviously to not spending too much money, whatever frivolities, right? But is there a conversation that could be had about the fact that maybe we can adjust the budget? That's where the conversation should be, not pulling rank that I get. Well, it's my money, I put my money in. That kind of person will pull rank in every other way based on the power they feel they have in that relationship.
Yeah.
That is what I'm trying to say. So the conversation should be more about, babe, we got a budget. Can we relook at this budget? Can we relook at this budget? And again, just by relooking at the budget does not mean the person's going to shift. You're asking to see if we can reassess the budget to make it work a little bit. And more than likely, you're probably not going to have the extra £1,000 that you need to buy this Beyonce ticket in that first month. So you're probably still going to miss the Beyonce ticket. But what you are going to do is, for next time, if we can readdress the budget now, then maybe in the future, okay, then we can look at how, how maybe we can change the situation. And that'll be it. There you go from there. You know?
No, let me give myself and my missus as an example, real life example. And some might say, how would it work if it was the other way around? But me and my missus were above average earners in the UK. I earn more than her, right? We both made an agreement of what we're going to save up until the end of the year. That's for wedding, house, all the things that we need to. She will call me and ask me, am I allowed to spend on this or should I? If I say yes, she might do it. If I say no, she won't do it. She's never made a complaint, never tried to say anything negative, because she understands the long game that we're playing. And she can afford it. But we've made an agreement. We're not married. We're not even engaged at this time, but we're planning ahead. But because we've made an agreement, that's made me look at her and say, all right, if you can do this now, what type of wonderful wife will you be in the future? That's not something I need to worry about. I can trust you. I can trust not only are you going to listen to me, but I can trust that you know what I'm doing when it comes to what we're building towards. So you're truly my helpmate, truly my tag team partner. If she now started doing what this woman is doing, not even this one, but the one that we saw a few weeks ago in the Shea Borough, of course, it would raise questions. In the same way, if I was the one making excuses to go and do all different things, she'll be questioning, okay, what type of man is this? Is this a sign of things to come? Is he financially astute? Is he financially sensible? And the answer would be, well, it looks like it's no. So that's what I keep saying. It's the bigger picture. It's the bigger picture. Again, I can see people might think it's something small. It's really the bigger picture. And all of you justifying what she's doing, I know all of you know that as well. But it's the case that you just want to do what you want to do anyway, which you're entitled to. You know
Bro, I learned that firsthand last night. That, listen, I took my hand and said, wow, some people really want to do what they want to do, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I'm trying to talk to the men out here specifically, because I feel like the men sometimes get a bad rap, and then of course they always get the negative aspect of manosphere and them kind of people there, and we know they're mad. But in this reality, what I'm seeing, I'm telling men, listen, if this is what you see on a regular pattern, you need to leave this type of girl alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I see some people, they're like, how can you think like this? I'm like, listen, it is about the principle, and it's about actions or patterns of action. I'm saying if this is more than once, and we're seeing a pattern where we're negating and we're trying to now pull rank in terms of financial powers, bro, you need to be out of that space, bro. You know what I'm saying? You need to be out of that space. And I'll tell you why. Look at some of the comments in my chat. They're pulling rank right now. They're pulling rank on you right now. And that should tell you it's okay. Don't be in that space. Leave. Rather than getting yourself caught up in a situation. One person said, it sounds like he can't afford her lifestyle. Okay, but she still doesn't, that doesn't change what's happening right in that moment. And I found that people tend to do this when they want to justify madness. They tend to go away from the thing that's happening right now and try to bring so many different variables around the issue. There's no other variables we're bringing into this. What did you just hear? And what did you donate from it? But then when you want to justify madness, they add 5, 6 different variables into the situation to justify the action. And there's no need. You know what I mean? There's no need. So in this situation, whether she makes more or not, the principle is they've agreed to put this amount of money in. Whether she agreed to pay more or less, it doesn't make a difference. What it is you've agreed. Once you've agreed, what should be done is a conversation around the budget. Babe, the budget right now, I don't feel like I'm able to contribute 3 times more. And maybe I need to contribute 2 times more and have £1,000 for disposable income, miscellaneous, and other small things. That may need to be the conversation. And then there's a restructuring. Okay. Then there's a restructuring of the conversation, of the budget, and a restructuring of the time scale. Right? I've worked in banking, you're working in finance as well. Work in banking, people come into a bank to get a loan. Some people want it 3 years, some people want it 5 years. You change the different years and you find out that you're paying a bit more if you do for a short amount of years. You're paying a bit less if you pay it over a long amount of years. You have a phone contract, it's the exact same thing. People should come up and then have a conversation and say, I think we need to look at the budget and maybe we need to reassess. Right? We need to reassess this budget. I need some areas of maneuvering here. Right? That's what we do. Right? That's what we do. David said he needs to make more money. David, I love you, but you're moving mad. I love you, David, but I'll tell you you're moving mad. And I won't shy away from it. You're moving mad. It's got nothing to do with making more money. Principle is principle. If somebody is doing something, breaking a principle, that is all we're talking about. It's got nothing to do with making more money. Making more money does not mean you get to just do whatever you want. You've agreed to something. What should happen, there's no link for you, David. What should happen is there should be a conversation that happens in terms of the budget. That's what should be happening. And do you know what? I'm being stiff because I've started to see stuff, right? And if I don't, what will happen is, and I said this yesterday on the live, what I started seeing is when you start letting people do whatever they want to do, you end up getting the blame anyway. Especially as a man, and that's why I'm talking specifically to the men. Do not follow whatever these people are just saying, because eventually it comes back to your doorstep. When men don't take care, when men don't lead effectively, when men don't know how to lead their homes effectively, this is what it ends up back at your door. And then you end up complaining, saying this about women. No. You need to be a good leader and make sure. You know what I'm saying? I'm not irritated. I'm just strong with it today. And I don't want men to shirk the challenge, because the thing will end up at your door. The thing, when other men don't look after the kids, guess whose door it ends up at? Mine and yours. It ends up in your taxes, ends up in the fact that your children, who they're going to marry, it ends up in situations in society. It still ends up at your door. So you, as a man, you cannot shirk your responsibility of being a good leader and discerning effectively. And sometimes that means telling the person, no, this is not what we're doing. And you may be the bad guy for today, but tomorrow you'll be the hero. It gets like that. Go for it, bro.
Do you know what? You just took all the words out of my mouth. And that is the point. It's about the principle. Now, in fact, to respond to David, should he make more money? Yeah, we hope he's working towards it. We hope that he's got things in place. Whether he's doing a course or whatever he's trying to build, we hope he gets there. But this is about the principle that exists right now in their relationship. This is someone that he wants to marry because he proposed. So these are points that all guys need to pay attention to. If this is what happens now, what happens when there's greater things at stake? If that disrespect is there now, what happens when they get married? This is what we're talking about. And David, this is for you as well as a man. I don't care if you earn $1 million. If that disrespect is there, it's very dangerous not to address it. And the both of us, we are relationship counselors, and that Kojo does it way more than me, but we're relationship counselors, and we see this time and time again. Like, this is something that has to be addressed, and it does work the same way. When men pull rank, we're going to say to a woman, be careful. You don't want to be with a man who always says, because I'm a man, I'm pulling rank. I don't care what you have to say. This is it. Because you have to consider each other. My missus tells me all the time, right? Like, talk to her. Have a conversation. Let's discuss, right? Because in my life, I've had to do a lot of things myself because I couldn't trust the people that I was with. So she has to remind me to consider what she has to say. Even if I do like what I want to do anyway, let's talk about it first. It's not just I'm going to do it and I don't care. No, that's not how it should go. So it works both ways. I understand this is about relationships, but where it splits between a man and a woman, as a man, when you're taking that leadership position, these are the things you need to pay attention to. If it happens in a workplace, whether a man or a woman is the boss, and these are things that their staff does to them, it's going to be an issue. Same thing in church, it's going to be an issue. So relationships are no different. We have to look at the bigger picture. And someone asked, saving for a wedding but not proposed yet. Listen, I'm not this time. Good financial planning starts now. So even though I haven't given her the ring yet, it doesn't mean we can't plan for it. This is us being smart. So trust me. Anyway, you'll see. When it happens, I'll post it everywhere, then you'll be happy. So it's all good.
Yeah, man. And I think, again, just to address some of the comments, because I'm in that mood. I really am. I want to be direct. And it's not that I'm in the mood. I want to be direct because I feel like sometimes I always go around the mulberry bush, and I'm like, for those, and I'm not even talking to women specifically more. I'm more talking to the men more, because like I keep saying, this will end up at your door. And so I'm saying to the men, pay attention to things like this. These are the things you need to be paying attention to, right? These are the kind of things where you need to look, because we talk about how men want respect and women want love. And if this was the other way around, I'd have the same issue. I'll be looking at a woman like, if this is what he's going to do, that when he has money, he gets to tell you what to do, there'll be a problem. I've already said that. So,
fact, Coach,
you know,
so to cut you, this is the very reason why women say
bro.
now, I want to make my own money. These things used to happen, 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, where women were left with nothing because of men doing this. So women themselves are telling us that they have an issue with this. So I don't understand. So now the shoe's in the other foot. Why is their justification? It's still wrong, but go on anyway.
No, bro, you're on point, you know, because we're talking about, and I keep saying the word principles, you know, in this instance, and making more money does not stop someone's disrespect for you. It's about character once more again, and I want people to understand that, because if you don't, this is where we get into a relationship and we say the man was this or the woman was this, and then no one takes accountability. And on both sides, character, pay attention to character. If a man or a woman does this, but we're talking about a woman because it's a woman in a situation, character is in that situation. Is this what this is about as well, and principle. And if somebody will do this in this moment, I'm asking the question saying, bro, you need to pay attention. I've already stated there should be conversation I had around budget. Have that conversation, because maybe the budget's not working effectively. More than likely, you might not get £1,000 out of it though, but work on the budget effectively. Do you know what I'm saying? All right. And, you know, on this situation, I'm saying that pay attention to the language somebody's using. Okay. Pay attention to the language that's being used. You know, and David, stop that. I'm not even playing with you. Stop that. It's not about being broke. That is not what the conversation's about, bro. It's not that. And I'm calling you out, because as man to man, we need to stop that. That's nonsense.
Yeah,
and you know it's nonsense, David. Stop that. It's not about being broke. It's about the principle. It's not about being broke.
Hold on. I'm not broke. But the principle still stands. I earn more than my missus, but the principle still stands, and she agrees. Just like she can tell me, we didn't agree to that. So that point's non-existent. And I agree, we need to stop saying this. Stop putting men down because of money when it's just simply about principles. This is where we're going wrong. So don't justify that nonsense, man.
Yeah, I can't. David, I love you, bro, and I'm not calling you. I'm not gonna bring you up to call you out. You're in the chat, so. But it's like this again, and this is what I'm talking about, though. This is what we're talking about when it goes about subverting the process again. We're making so many different excuses about what the thing is. It's simply about the principle. If someone keeps shirking a principle, you have your answer of what they're like. You know what I'm saying? If they keep shirking it, you have what they like. So you now know, okay, this person's like this. Leave them alone. Don't try to wrestle with them and da 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 da. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, simply put, address the principle. If the person can't address that principle, then you got to leave them alone, bro. You know, it be like that. It be like that. Listen, and I say this because, like, I say this because as well, right? Yeah, that sometimes, you know, and the thing is, again, but I hear what you're saying another while, but the situation is about a woman. Why do you want me to make it about both people when the example is a woman? Do you get what I'm saying? It's a woman in the situation. So I'm saying that's why we're talking about the woman in this aspect. If it was a man, in fact, let me do this. If it was a man that earned more money and he decided to pull rank and said, I'm going to this Jay-Z concert because I put more money in, he's wrong. You need to question whether this man is really for you. You need to question whether this man really is a husband material. You need to question whether this man actually loves you, because he's pulling rank over a Jay-Z concert just so that he can subvert your future with him. Then you need to remove him. There you go.
That's it.
Yeah. Is that okay, guys? Does that make sense now? All right. Does that make sense?
So look at what Dahlia said, right? So a person can only make decisions if he makes more money than the partner. That's a dangerous proposition when a woman normally makes less than a man. So do you see the ideology? Like, it doesn't matter who's making more, who is making less. The principle still stands, because it's dangerous to put yourself in that position. It's dangerous. This is why we're speaking like this. Like, well, yeah, we're speaking from experience, but we're speaking from talking to so many people who go through these things. It's so dangerous. There's nothing that can be said in this situation that's going to change the principle, because it's about the bigger picture. And to be honest, in this day and age, I'm concerned when my fellow guys start justifying this. Like, I don't want to start throwing out keywords here that could easily come out, but like I'll be very concerned, because what guys go through, it's about the principle. You got to stand up. It don't really matter what it is. You got to stand up, put your foot down, and say, this is not what we're gonna do. And like I said, this is what women really want anyway. But the fact that she can do that, to me personally, means that she don't respect him, or at least enough anyway to listen to him in this scenario.
And that's okay. Then everyone has to go their way.
Mm.
You know what I mean? You have to go your way. Anything else will just be wasting your time. You know what I mean? And that's the reason why I'm not entertaining the other variables. It's a waste of time. Like, it's really a waste of time, because unless we're having a conversation about changing the budget and having a conversation about, hey, look, this is how we can go about it better, that's the only conversation I'm willing to entertain. If the conversation's about how do we, the budget might not be working for me. That's a conversation that we should be having. Hey, look, I hear it. Beyonce, I want to go Beyonce, but the budget is not allowing for Beyonce right now. Can we relook at the budget? That's what managers do. When they look at their department, they say to the boss, hey, look, we got 5,000 for the year. But I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't, 5,000 ain't gonna work, ain't gonna work for the department. So we have to negotiate the budget. Then you go negotiate. And sometimes you might get the negotiation, it might work in your favor. Sometimes you go there, you don't get nothing. Right? And they tell you, listen, you might even get less now, because when I look at it, the spending's even, do you know what I mean? But that's the only conversation that should be happening, is a conversation about babe, maybe the budget's a little bit off right now because I'm looking at it. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's the only conversation I'm really to entertain, but I mean, not married, innit? So. I think they want me to play the clip one more time just to make sure. Okay, yeah, I can play it one more time. It's no problem.
Frank and Nina, how are you guys?
All right, Beehive.
Yes, so y'all know that Beyonce is going on tour, right?
Right, yeah.
Yes.
Me and my fiance, we have been together and we've been saving money for a house for a while now.
Yeah.
But y'all know I need to go see Beyonce. Like I'm part of the Beehive. I need to see the Queen, you know? Me and my fiance started saving for our house. We decided to have a joint account. But the thing is, I make 3 times more than my fiance. So obviously I contribute 3 times more, you know? So we decided not to spend any extra money on other activities. So we've been eating in, we don't go to the movies, we don't go on dates, we don't go shopping. We've just been strict with our savings.
That's awesome.
But Nina, that was before I knew that Beyonce was going on tour. I told my fiance I was going to take out $1,000 so I could get my Beyonce ticket. And girl, you know, he lost it after that.
I would too.
You see, but the point, Frank, is that I make 3 times more money as him. And I don't see the problem with taking out $1,000. It's my money.
Ooh.
Did y'all know he threatened me on top of that to call off the engagement because he said my priorities weren't together? But let me keep it real, y'all. I put about $20,000 into that saving, and he's only put about $7,000. So what is he tripping about? For real. Hi, Frank and Nina.
Hey,
how are you guys?
All right, Beehive.
Yeah.
I rest your case, Marana.
All right, let me look at the chats. What's going on?
Let me know what comments you want to pull up. I'll pull up the comment. Let me know what comments and I'll pull up the comments.
Oh, okay, I'm gonna ask the chat a question. In fact, I don't know how many guys are on here as well, so let me see. Hold on.
Real point, Elsie.
So,
real point.
The principle to me goes across. To me, it's the same if she was saying, you know what, let me pull out a couple thousand because I want to go on holiday with my girls. Now, she's not going to go Beyonce concert with him. She said my ticket, so she's going to go. She's not going to go by herself. She's going to go with her ladies. The principle's the same. If you want to do that, that's fine. He didn't even say you can't go. He just said you can't use our money. This is not what it's for. So that's what you're talking about in the beginning, Coach, that, well, what's going on? You say you earn 3 times as much. Why do you need to take £1,000 out of house saving? It doesn't make sense. So to me, I don't see it as an issue of being broke, issue of anything. I look at the principle because it raises a lot of questions. Because again, imagine if he was to do that, especially at a place where she earns more, she's going to be asking so many questions. If she went to go and talk to anyone about that, they would say, okay, that's a bit strange. Why is he doing that? What is he doing it for? Like, the principle goes throughout. Like, as a people, we need to stop having a selfish lens on life, selfish lens on anything. Someone said, you know, just go and live life. She works hard. Yeah, she works hard. But when you're planning for something, you need to work hard to stick to that plan. You need to work hard to make sure you keep to your promise so you can enjoy what's to come. You don't easily break it for these things. But this is, to me, it's just it's a conversation of idolatry, of idolism. Like, no, this is not something you need to be doing that for. Like I gave the example of Bishop T.D. Jakes. You know, that was for the betterment of the family. If it didn't work, it didn't work. But thank God it worked. This is just for her to go and shake and dance for Beyonce. Nah, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Yep. Absolutely. And I think this is why I said in the very beginning, I made it very clear, have the joint account and have your separate finances as well on the side. A good budgeter, and this is why I was saying I'll speak to the men, a good budgeter budgets this into it. You have to. You know what I mean? Like, and then you have to really sit down with yourself and be real with yourself. How much money do I spend on entertainment? I have a budget for myself. Every month, I say, this is how much I put for money for food. This is how much money I got for disposables and entertainment. This is how much money I got for this. And when I had a girl, I did the exact same thing for her. And I made sure you have a disposable income amount. Here you go. This is it. This was going to make you feel comfortable. And then the thing is, I sat down with her and did it. And I said, look at the numbers. Are you comfortable with this? Because if you look at your actual spending, we went through her accounts and said, look, if I look at the spending, this is actually what you're spending. I think some of these things are not necessary to spend on. So let's keep a budget at this particular level for you on disposable income. This is not a joint account we was talking about. This is her own account that I sat down with her to do this. This is how much you're spending. This is how much you're doing here. This is how much your bills are. Once we've done all the bills and everything that goes out, fixed assets, variable costs. Once that's all accounted for on the budget, the next thing is then, okay, how much are you left with? Out of how much you're left with, okay, this one's going to the savings. Fantastic. This one was going to another savings. Fantastic. This one here, disposable income. So now at that point, like I said, why if they haven't got that in place, if they haven't already got the budget where they have different allocations, that's what I'm saying. Have a conversation now about this, because the budget needs to be reassessed. That's the only conversation that should be happening. That's the only conversation. You know what I mean? So that now you can begin to go, okay, look, when I actually look at it, not spending at all may be very difficult. You know, not spending at all may be difficult. I may need a little bit of disposable income just to play with. You know what I mean? Sorry about that, bro.
Nah, I've seen the chats. The chats is 50-50, divided. It's interesting though. I'm gonna ask a question. For the ladies who are saying there's nothing wrong with what she did or what she's trying to do, what she's doing, in marriage, do you believe in having separate accounts or a joint account where everything goes into and filters from there? That's what I see. No, just the ladies in the chat.
I can ask it in the chat. Hold on. I can ask it in the chat. Let me put a poll up. And we'll put a poll up. What's the question, sir, bro?
But in marriage, so I know what else is going to be before marriage. So in marriage, do these ladies, do you believe in separate accounts, or you both have, okay, I can see some people responding, you both have a mutual account where, you know what, maybe all the money goes into there and it separates, or the majority of money goes into there, but you still keep what you need on the side?
It's hard to actually ask. That's a poll. I can't lie to you.
Don't worry, they've heard me.
Okay. Someone said believe in 3 separate accounts. Someone said separate accounts. Someone said joint and separate.
You see, David, no one is saying that he shouldn't work to earn more, but they're in the situation that they're in right now. Just because he doesn't earn more doesn't mean that this situation's okay.
If I respond to David, it's going to be long. It's going to be long. It's going to be long because if I start getting biblical, it's going to get long.
Yeah, I don't.
Because I don't like people using Bible and using it incorrectly. The Bible does not say, it doesn't say actually a man. It says a person should provide for his family. But we believe that men are leaders. And then leadership is not about how much money you provide in a total sum. Does not mean that. It's a part of. If we're talking about biblically, it's a part of. You having more money and giving to your family does not mean you're actually providing necessarily for your family. You're only providing the financial aspect. There are other areas, and as I've been corrected by the women too, and I think this is absolutely right. There is emotional, there is mental, there is even spiritual, there is sexual. Are you providing in these areas? So provision is not just the money and not who earns the most. You know what I mean? So that's why I said I'm rephrasing leadership, because I think Nana kind of put it earlier on, and she's absolutely right. And I spoke about this yesterday on the panel of Repeat. If leadership stays at finances, this is why we're having a war right now. Because of course you're not going to be respected. Because if leadership is about finances, whoever makes the most is the leader by de facto, by principle. You know what I mean? But that's not how we believe that principle of leadership to be. And it shouldn't just stay on finances. You have to have other areas that you contribute. And leadership is not even about necessarily just provision. It's about you collaborate? Are you communicative? You know what I'm saying? Like, are you able to effectively lead? Can you teach? You know what I mean? Can you train?
Listen.
Like, there were other areas of leadership that go beyond just the scope of you being financially having the most money in that thing. If that's the case, you're gonna ruin your family, and you're gonna know about it in a couple of years' time when they turn around and look at you going like, that's all you ever did. Leadership has to be more than that. Has to be. You know what I mean?
And I'll say even this: we know people where their fathers provided the finance, but they was never around. They didn't provide the love, the care, the safety, the wisdom, but it's still a problem. So that's why it's a concern of mine that this aspect of money is what's causing this much disrespect, this much division. Because that to me, again, if he was my bro, I'll say walk away. Because to me, if money is going to cause that disrespect, that's the biggest signs of things to come. Like, and I don't care who earns more, who earns less. I don't care if it's the man or the woman who's doing this. Like, to use money as that make weight is a problem. That means to me, there's nothing more to you. And ladies, you know plenty of guys, there's nothing to these guys. They have no game. There's nothing about them. All they have is money. And they will throw money at you just to try and get you. You don't even respect them. So in this scenario, if the shoe's on the other foot, I can't look at the scenario and say it's a respectful situation. Like, no, I refuse to, because I know what comes from it, and I'm not even going to budge from that. It's got nothing to do with ego, everything to do with principle. If when I want to move on to leadership, he has said, we've made an agreement. He didn't just say no, we have made an agreement. This is what we agreed. Let's continue sticking to it. She said, no, I'm going to do what I want to do anyway. Come on, that's disrespectful.
Yeah. And it doesn't even solve the issue, even if they have separate accounts. Because again, if we said that we're saving money for a particular goal, if you ask me and I say, listen, but we said we're going to save to a particular goal, if someone keeps subverting the process, even if they count, again, that's why it's principle, because a joint account is not necessarily the issue. If you have your separate account, I have my separate account, and we're trying to hit this amount, X amount of money by the end of the year, and then you asked me to take the money, I said no, and then you take it out anyway, you're already subverting the process. It will come down to principle. So I think what's important again is that people learn how to adhere to principles. And like I said, and I'll give you a quintessential example of why sticking to principles is important. The chat, I can see that some of them are against what I'm saying. I don't care, because I know what happens at the end of the line. Sometimes you have to take a hit in that immediate moment and because you know what's going to happen at the very end of it. You know what's going to happen at the end of it. So whether we have a joint account or even a separate account, if we say we have a goal and then we want to meet it, it doesn't make a difference. Let's meet that goal. Let's stick to the particular budget. If it does mean we need to reassess the budget, fantastic. Let's reassess the budget. Let's look at that. I'm always down for that. I don't think anyone should be against that. Looking at the budget, there may be things that happen. You may lose your job. You may your mum may be sick and may need money, and so we have to change. There's always many things that are going to make the relationship maybe potentially change. So we have to look at the budget. So, but I'm saying that stick to the plan. You know what I mean? You've decided on a plan. Stick to the plan. Even if they don't like you, even if my chat think I'm arrogant because I said what I said, it doesn't make a difference. We are going this direction.
No, we need to continue, because again, the chat speaks for itself. I think it was Mary Cox. I liked what she said though, because it's definitely added more fuel to the situation. It's gone now. Hold on, let me show you so I can find it, so we can post it so everyone can see. I can't find it, right? But she equated the man saying, hold on, we've made an agreement. Don't break the agreement, to a man trying to control the woman. I'm going to say that again. They've made an agreement. She wants to spend on something that's unnecessary. He said no. She said, I'm going to do what I want to do anyway. But this has been equated to him wanted to control her. I don't understand. Can someone explain that to me?
There's nothing to explain, bro. But this, but I actually love this discourse. I think it's good to have a bit of a back and forth. It's good, right? And I love this discourse because I would say that in this situation, this is, and someone said it in the chat. I don't know who said it. I was going up and I just saw the comment. I think it might have been, I saw a comment. It was a really good one. But sometimes when we have this discourse, this proves what manosphere are saying. And this is why I feel, this is why I'm like, sometimes I'm looking at ladies like, so you want me to talk against the manosphere and you are proving their points. Money is now the biggest thing. We've had conversations. I'm not saying for everybody, by the way. It's not for everyone. It's not for everybody. It's not for everybody. For some people, if we say that money makes leadership, right? That's exactly what manosphere say. Then I cannot come against manosphere and what they're saying because they're right. And this is the stuff that happens on the manosphere side that we're trying to talk against and say, this is not what we want. Leadership should not be that because you have the most money that necessarily you are the best leader per se, right? And leadership should not be also that I control everything. But I'm saying to you as a man, and I say this from a personal standpoint, right? That as men, when things go wrong, it will come back to you. It will come back to you as a man. So I'm talking more to the men than necessarily the women. I'm saying, man, them, you are going, and it's funny because I remember I was talking to my dad about this, right? And we're talking a conversation about it. He's like, listen, and he told me, listen, there are going to be times where you are the bad guy.
Yeah.
And you have to be comfortable being the bad guy.
That's leadership.
That's leadership. Sometimes you take a decision and you're the bad guy. But in the end, when you get to the other side, they will thank you. If you don't persevere all the way through, what you'll find by on the other end of the line is people are now blaming you. This is what it means when it says train a child in the way to go, and he will not depart from it. The child will now blame you if you don't train that child correctly. And I'm not saying women are children or men are children. I'm saying it's the principle of it. So if people don't take care and you don't apply principles correctly, and sometimes you don't be the bad guy because you always want to please, you end up on the other side and the person's looking at you like, well, this is your fault. You know what I mean? So you as a man have to take accountability and responsibility. And that's what I'm saying. Either you tell her, listen, hey, listen, let's stick to the plan, and she doesn't want to stick to it. If this is a common behavior, we have to look at it and go, brothers, it's time to go. No fight. Don't insult no woman. It's not about that. It's about, bro, then you may have to go out. You may have to go out. You know?
I think the key thing is save yourself the headache. That's it. Save yourself the headache. Like, this is us as men talking to men, just telling the truth. These are the things we discuss privately anyway. Most men will discuss these things privately because of the experiences, because of the things that they see. So like Koja alluded to, this is why men get to a place where they feel like, now I've got the money. Now I've got this and that. I can do what I want. But then the majority of ladies are saying, no, I'm not happy with that. So what is the difference? If we are saying that because she has the money and he doesn't, she's okay for doing what she wants, then why is it not okay when the men say the same thing? And I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not trying to justify a man's right to do that. What I'm trying to say is, this is the division when it comes to our relationships that causes problems. Like there's no unity. There's no togetherness. It's just about what I want. This is what I want. And to be honest with you, that's got nothing to do with even trying to be happy, trying to be at peace. That's more to do with what's going on inside of you. That's coming out. So my question to anyone who has this particular mindset, if the shoe is on the other foot, how would you feel? And two, do you think you're going to have the type of relationship that you want being like this? And this is where now we get deep. Because as we said over and over again, it goes to other things. And this is a thing that we need to look at ourselves each and every day. How are we as people? How do we relate to the people that we're with? What do we think about what we've said? How we are, our decision making. Are we actually together on this, or are we separate? These are the things that we need to continuously discuss, continuously look at. And to me, this is a cause for concern. I don't care what it was about. It doesn't have to be about the tickets, Beyonce. It's just a principle. If that is broke, in fact, it's not even an issue that it's broken. It's just the way she's gone about it. That's the issue. That's where the disrespect comes from. So to me, he has every right to say, wow, if this is how you're going to be, I need to walk away from this situation now while I still can. Because that's only going to amplify. And like I said earlier, for those that missed it, if she said, okay, babe, I'm not going to go to the Beyonce concert, and in 1 year, 2 years, whenever they're going to pull the trigger, they have their house, they're living life, she's not going to be angry and bitter towards him because of Beyonce. This is the point. She's going to be saying, again, babes, we've done it. Let's do it. Let's do something else. What else can we do? And in fact, she's even going to look at him more with more respect, because, okay, yeah, we stuck to it. Even though I wanted to go a different way, no, we stuck to it. So to me, I'm just thinking about the bigger picture. And I feel like a lot of people fail to see that. It's about what we want now, and you need to think about the bigger picture. Unless, yeah, they're together, they're engaged. But then I would question, does she want to be with him? Does she see him as the man of her dreams? Is this the situation that she wants? Does she want to be with a guy who earns less than her? If she doesn't, that's cool. I don't blame no woman who doesn't want to be in that situation. But you have to be honest about it, because you can't be in that situation and disrespect the man because of money. That's not okay. And it's the same way. You can't be in a situation where as the man, you are the breadwinner, and you disrespect the woman because of money. You can't do that. And that's not how we're supposed to be. And that's Christian or no Christian. Morally, that's not the type of relationship that you want. So this is why, again, I'll say to people, think about the bigger picture.
And I think also as well, like I said, for me, I like my independence so much. I do. Even in a relationship, I like to have my own account as well, with a little bit of money that I can spend my money on. But I'm willing to forego certain things if we agree to something, right? And I'm willing to to sacrifice certain moments so that we can make something happen. Do you get what I'm saying? And sometimes, like I said, that this is why as men, you have to choose a correct partner who has the same ideology as you. This is why conversations around finances and how people see things, this is what's needed. Like, as a man specifically, and that's why I think this portion of the section we talked the last 15 minutes about men specifically, you have to choose somebody who also sees the things that you see and has the same vision. I worked in banking for 5 years, and some of the couples that I saw that came in that were long-term couples, majority were white because the area is white, but the majority of the white couples that came in there, let me tell you something that actually did happen. And this is why it's so powerful, because women don't even know what the kind of power they have. Most of the couples that came in, okay, let's say there were 60 plus going on, right? They all had joint accounts, 5, 6, 7 of them, joint accounts, right? We'll get to the bank, yeah. I'll speak to the husband, and I'll be like, "Oh, you got qualifications for a loan? Did you want a loan or anything? I know for damn sure you don't need it because you've got all the money in the bank. But I got to do my job, right?" And he might be like, and I worked in wealth management. This exact same principle. So I want people to listen to this. This is both for men and women, actually. Listen to this very carefully. So when I worked in retail banking, I would say to the husband, maybe you want a loan or something. He would look at me and be like, you know what, Susie, what do you think? Susie goes, I don't think we need it. That's the end of it. Because once Susie says it's done, Susie said it's done. There is no going back. Susie said what she said. Daniel, and it's not that he's been a simp. He understands it takes two to tango. He cannot override and just go, I can do anything I want. He goes, no, listen. Susie said it. I got to leave it alone. You know what I mean? Susie said it, got to leave it alone. You leave it alone. I worked in wealth management for a whole year. People that earned over £75,000 a month, up to $1 million. Yeah. People who had money in this country. And when I would speak to a client, right? I'll speak to a client and I'll be like, especially the men. Majority of the times I spoke to men, but I spoke to women as well. I'll ask them, so you know, you got this money in an account at the moment, you know, you qualify for a big mortgage, or, you know, have you thought about doing your trust funds, right? And they were like, listen, I love the idea. I'm willing to go ahead of it, but I got to make sure, right? Because I've got a wife, I got kids, I got to make sure she's good with it, right? So he would have to go and ask the wife first before he did this. Most people did. There were some people that didn't, because they were more of the woman had, and when you saw that the man would never ask the woman was never involved in finances at all. She was never involved in budgeting, anything like that. But the men that had their woman involved or had several joint accounts, he'd make sure he asked first before he went and did anything, because he understood it's a joint account. Not only that, I respect my partner enough to be like, hey, let me make sure, you know, like, you know, before I make this movement, because I'm about to commit to a very big thing. Now, when I spoke to the women that had these situations too, right? The same principle. I would be like, hey, Daniela, great, how you doing? The only thing she might take on her own is things like trust funds. She'd be like, well, trust fund needs to be done. So kids need it for the future. Anything like pensions, mortgages, she would also be like, first and foremost, can you speak to my husband? What are we talking about here? We're talking about the fact that joint decisions are being taken because we are a team. Many people don't believe they're a team, and we operate from a place of fear, and we operate from a place of trauma. And this is why we don't want to have teamwork, right? But the majority of couples that I saw that were wealthy and had money and together made joint decisions. A husband wasn't just taking a decision just because he's a husband. He would realize, I got a wife at home. I got to make sure I ask Susie before I do this very thing, right? And that was on all levels. So the principle remains the same. We are together, and I cannot do anything without actually affecting you, right? I can't do one without the other. So that's what teamwork's about, right? So not pulling rank, and if the man wants to do this, no. Not saying, oh, but men do it too. No, it was simply about, we work together and we're going the same direction. And sometimes we have to do things that we don't like. We have to forego certain things we don't like in order to go forward. So, man, them, choose somebody with the same mindset. Don't come and cry on Beyonce's internet later on, because Beyonce ain't helping you, because already look what's happening. You need to choose a person with the right mindset that wants to see life the way you see it as well. You know what I mean?
Well said.
Go for it, bro. You have the last say, bro.
No, I think my missus is watching this, right? And we had a disagreement last week when it came to not something similar, but I made the decision that's for the betterment of our future, right? But she would have preferred for me to actually just say, okay, this is what I'm going to do it, and then do it. Now, of course, we was going to have the conversation, but we just ended up having that conversation that day. But I did it. Then we had like a minor disagreement about it. But the points that she made was absolutely right. Like, as it concerns our future, let's have that discussion. Open, frank, transparent, and then let's make that agreement. Or let me trust in you is really what she said. And then go ahead. Like, that's a different level of mindset. That's the type of mindset as a man. That's what I want. So I actually fully understood where she was coming from. Even now, I fully understand where she's coming from. And this is the difference that we're talking about. Whether, in this case, they're building something, right? They're not married, but they're building something. They can go their separate ways tomorrow. And by the way, let's hope it's an actual joint account, not one person's same account that they're both using, because that makes it a lot more difficult to go their separate ways fairly. But they can both go their separate ways. That's cool. They can do that. But they're building. In building, this is a reflection. Speak to any counselor, they will say to you, this is a reflection of what's going to happen in marriage. So if this happens now, what are the signs to come? So this is why I agree with what you're saying, bro. Like, the way I look at life is, what do you want? What do you want from life? So therefore, you need to choose someone that you know is going to not only respect you, not only listen to you, not only consider you, but also truly sees you as that person they want to build a future with. Because that should be paramount. That should be above everything else. I don't care if it's 20K, 7K. Look, end of the day, how much you put in is irrelevant, because she has to take out the money from the savings for the house. So it's irrelevant. All this bragging about her salary, where's her own? Where's that to the side? So to me, that's irrelevant because that's the question there. So because if anything, because you haven't done what you need to do, and you want to take from an account that you both agreed not to, you're now disrespecting him over this because of Beyonce. This is why I say the principle is just wrong. Like this to me is not a good situation. And it's this bigger thinking that we truly need to think about. When we look at, as you mentioned, successful marriages, people who are together, they navigate these things properly. Yeah, we all make mistakes. There's growing pains. Like we all have to learn what this is like. But there are times where we need to put our foot down and say, nah, this ain't okay. And this is a situation. Unfortunately, ladies, man, not like this, but this is a situation where he has to put his foot down and say, nah, this is not okay. And if you want to circumvent our agreement, if you don't want to listen to me, I'm going to have to evaluate our relationship. Do you know what? And it's the same thing my missus said to me. And I said, do you know what? But you're actually right. You are actually right. Because in her mind, she didn't want this is a sign of things to come. That's not the case. But you have to evaluate these things. So that means I had to correct myself within and say, all right, you know what? The next time, A, B, C, D, E. And what I was doing wasn't even wrong. Was it even something negative? Was it even wasteful? It was something that would benefit us. But I still understood the power of what she was saying to me, like I do now. So that's why I fully understand this. Like there's a difference. It's like the way I look at it is, in life, you don't get it until you get it. That's what I'm going to say. You don't get it until you get it. You're going to fight for what you believe, fight for what you want. Do you know what? Respect everyone's opinions. I love you all. It's all good. Like this is fun. You know, we're having back and forth. It's fun. This makes it more engaging, more exciting. However, the principle still stands. And every single person who is trying to justify this will one day be in a situation where they will realize, oh, okay, I see it now. It may not be now. You may, like you said, bro, operating from that place of trauma, operating from that place of protection, operating from that place of selfishness. This is where it is now. That's completely fine. But there'll be a time where you look back. There'll be a time where you go into your own experience and you think, rah, okay, I understand now.
Yeah, definitely hear that. Definitely. And Jay, you are bugging. She's killing me. She put this joke. She put this comment. She said, "Be prepared next time." Now, I appreciate it. I know she's having a laugh at me, funny with it. But no, listen, look, audience, I really appreciate this conversation. Look, you know, I'm not going to apologize for being stringent because I would what I've been, but I wanted to be a little bit more stricter down this line in this conversation because I really did want to put the principle down and let people know that, you know, for those who are going to listen, hear, you know what I'm saying? And for those who won't hear, I understand. I may have come off a little bit hard and harsh. It gets like that sometimes, right? But I really wanted to have this conversation. I think it was such a powerful one. And I do actually appreciate everybody's contribution, by the way. So we were listening, we were hearing you. We disagreed, but we were listening and we were hearing you. And the different points also as well help to kind of have different thought processes as well. Because sometimes when you're talking and when you see a point, it can help just kind of like even just shift it a little bit as well. So I do actually appreciate the different points of view and the different positions people took as well. You know, and and I understand that some people have a different point of view, and it's fine. We're going to agree to disagree, and we'll have more moments like this. You know what I mean? But please show love to each other in the chat because I know there was two sides to this conversation. Show love to each other in the chat. I'll let a video play for a minute or two while you guys just chat to each other or whatever, you know, and you know, give your you know, your whatever conversation you need to have with people. And yes, it was one-sided because it's a one-sided conversation today. It wasn't a panel discussion. It was a one-sided discussion today. It was not a panel conversation. All right. So we appreciate all of you. David, love you as before, bro. So hope you didn't take any offense to what I said. I want to make sure, you know, because we're still boys. And for the rest of you guys, if I offended you, deal with no joke. Just send me a message in it. I'm always willing to listen. Do you know what I mean? I'm always willing to listen. So if you felt offended or you felt like I was going too hard, just send me a message. You know what I mean? And I'll respect it and I'll listen to you as well. All right. So yeah, but meantime, we're gonna bounce. I'll let a video play on the way out. And guys, again, we appreciate you. Tomorrow night we have Married at First Sight live. I think I'm going to be live in about 10 minutes actually as well with Crystal. So the work don't stop for me, to be honest. But we going bro, it don't really stop him, bro. It let me just type this in because I can't even find that. But yeah, bro, I appreciate you coming through. Next week we go again. We'll find another topic, and we will we'll talk about it.
Discourage behavior. You give them things to occupy themselves.
Ooh.
You know, I say all that to say you have to train the dog. And the biggest part of dog training is training the owner.
This was a Married at First Sight, so
do think
I'm going to put it on there
that, you know, some of the commentaries.
You can watch this while we talk.
He likely suffers from separation anxiety also.
Hold on.
And I think he has an anxious attachment. To discourage the behavior, you give them things to occupy your dogs, and you know, not be so depending on them that you break down.
There we go. Fantastic.
You know, and in that moment,
all right, cool,
really,
guys.
really
we're gonna love you and leave you.
You would
appreciate
think
you guys. All right,
passed away by his
we're gonna leave on for a minute or two.
So
and,
you have
we'll be
to,
out. So just say your goodbyes to each other, and we'll be out. Okay.
In his family, in his marriage, when a crisis comes, and he was literally hysterical. You know, and I'm like, this is just a common maths, sight that we see. We see the man that is emotionally unstable and can't, you know, hold himself together. And, you know, it's unfortunate, but I think Nicole's going to eventually grow tired of being the protector and provider because she has to swoop in and save the day. Now, I will say that it was not his recommendation for his dogs to stay and her dogs to go. That was Nicole's bright idea. However, he didn't, you know, offer a compromise, which is what he should have done. He should have said, no, we can figure out some kind of way. But that just shows me, again, another level of his lack of, you know, being able to be logical in tough times, is because he couldn't even stop the hysterics. He was so hysterical because he couldn't figure out an option. So he broke down and lost it, right? And eventually that's going to wear thin on anybody when your go-to is to just get hysterical and lose it over a situation like this. And this wasn't even indefinite, right? This was for a short period of time. This is what happened. And